So we're talking about your lead generation, meaning how you're attracting prospective buyers and sellers. And it sounds like it's very focused on referral-based business. Do you have other ways of attracting leads?
Absolutely. So we have a farm.
Okay.
Right.
What's your farm?
20190 zip code, Reston.
Okay.
In the Town Center Lake Ann community. And this is something new that we've been doing, and I live there, so that's one of my farms. I have others, but what we do is we mail to everybody in that farm, and we provide them. Every month we send them something of value, statistics, just listed, just sold. I'm trying to get in front of as many people as possible, and one of the things we're doing right now is creating videos. Right, and I think you and I talked a little bit about that. And how to sell your house in 99 days or less, or we'll sell it for free. Right. How to buy property at 70 cents on the dollar, just like the pros. And how buyers can kind of implement some of those same strategies. They may not be able to buy 70 cents on the dollar, but we can use some of those same strategies to get them a good deal. Right. So what we're doing is developing a video series around that and sending it to our farm and becoming entrenched in that area, essentially. And then we also work with a lot of developers and builders in the Arlington area. I grew up in Arlington, so I have a network of builders and developers in Arlington, and I hope to take that and maybe move it to Reston and Herndon and continue to do the Arlington market. We were talking about the kind of I guess it's the greener pastures, right? It's like, well, what I should be doing is REOs. What I should be doing is SEO, search engine optimization. Sure. What I should be doing social media. What I should be doing. What I should be doing. And my guess is, like I come from a real estate investing background in terms of training real estate investors. That's hard because then every month you're shifting, and that's where you always get out of line. You never get to the end of the line because you just keep stopping. But you need diversity, or we want diversity in our business. Do you look at stuff like that, the internet? Do you look at social? We were talking about your website earlier. Just how does that whole thing or those options play in your business? What I found is that if I can get in front of a group of people, that has helped my business grow. So I started using Meetup, as a tool to get in front of investors, right, and just educate them about how to buy property, which then helped increase people. I look at every contact I meet goes into my database, and then they become a little asset for me that I cultivate, and then they know 150 people, or 200 people. So what I do is I teach these people how to invest. Some of them are experienced, some of them are new. We do deals together, we list their properties for them, and then that network grows and grows. And then I decided to do one for agents, and then I decided to do, because we network with a lot of other agents. And I also did one in the Reston Herndon marketplace for business owners. Okay. And that was a way for me to get ingrained into the community. Right. And that's been great. We have business owners all, in the local area that we meet once a week and almost do like a little BNI. Yeah, right. But it all started with the internet. Right. It kind of organically grew from there. It's build it and they will come. Well, we built it and they came. Yeah. We added value and people plugged into it. And that's kind of what we've been doing. I haven't done any SEO. It's like a full-time job to do all that stuff. Yeah. So really, we've developed our new site. We're rolling out videos on that site. We're doing a lot of direct mail now, and we're driving people to the site. And I'm going to continue doing group presentations and meeting as many people as I can. The idea is to feed them into the database. Right. Well, it's interesting. One thing you said was so valuable. I thought you said, I see this as adding another person who becomes an asset. And if you think about that in terms of like a bank account, and you think of every person as a $100 stack of money, well, that spins off, if you just invest that spins off money every month. So then the question is, every time I add one, if you have a process for getting a return on that investment of person, then you can get, every new person, like you said, they're going to do transactions at some point, and they know these people. The question is it going to be a dead asset for you? And most people don't work their sphere of influence. So it really doesn't matter how many people they have, it's a dead asset for them. Now, that brings up the question of
economics and numbers. When you talk about farming, you said Reston, Lake Anna area. Do you have a hypothesis? Do you have a theory that says, you know what, we got 1,000 people in that area. We're going to market. Do you have a break-even number that says, listen, as long as we get one transaction, it pays for the marketing? That kind of have you thought through those numbers?
Sure. Well, I know, again, the model teaches us that 10% of what I've done in GCI from the year before is what I should be spending for my marketing, right? And what I found is that if I hold myself accountable to that, if I'm spending out of my direct mail in that farm area, I'm getting it back. What I found is that I'm getting it back one and a half times.
Okay.
Right, 1.5 times. But it took some time. I had to stick with it for a little bit. You can be discouraged. You're sending out the message. What I've learned is that you just can't send out any message.
Right.
And so we've had to tweak it. And I don't know if that answers your question. My biggest thing was I wanted to spend 6 months and just stick with it for 6 months and see what kind of return I was going to get.
Because then you have a number
that
you can play with.
That's right.
Right.
And so what happened was, after 6 months, I looked at how much I spent and what I produced out of it, and I was like, hey, I made a profit out of that. And so it was a net gain for me.
Yeah.
Let's continue doing it.
Yeah.
Let's refine it. Let's try to make it a little bit better. Let's try to increase our response rate.
Right.
Let's try to provide more value.
Right.
Let's try to get a better return on that money than we did before.
Right.
In the beginning, it was just like, let's just throw something out there and see what sticks.
Well, I think that's such an important point, because the problem is people don't like to spend money. I mean, entrepreneurs are scared to spend money in most cases. And you wouldn't be scared if you know the number, right? I mean, if I know that for every $1 I spend, I'm going to get $2.50, the only question is, can I do that 100,000 times today?
Yeah.
But you have to stick with it to get a result, because you can't know a number, a conversion rate, until you get that result.
Sure.
So I think that what happens, but then it gets fun. Then it's like, well, I got a 20% response on, or a 2% response on it. Let's get more realistic.
20%. Sign me up.
I do incredible work. I get a 1% response on my direct mail. Well, if I tinker with the list, or if I, what would happen if I sent a follow-up message? Because it's not that hard to create money. You just need to know what your numbers are.
Yeah.
So, I mean, the reason I was asking about that is, a lot of times people are fearful of farming because they're like, well, I don't know if I spend that money. You'll get it back if you know your numbers. The problem is you have to spend the money to know your numbers.
Yeah.
It's not like somebody says, oh yeah, that's a 2.3. I mean, people throw out that 2.5 or whatever. No, there's no. You don't know what your numbers are until you test. That's all you can do.
Something that I'm excited about is that I actually, one thing I've learned is that if you're going to do it, hire an expert to do whatever that piece is for you, because you can spend so much time trying to figure it out when they already know how to do it. And we take a lesson out of our own book, right? We always tell our clients, you want to spend money on an expert or professional.
Right.
But I was spending a lot of time trying to write copy and trying to figure out how to do the direct, proper direct response. I finally hired a copy guy. He interviewed me. He sat down and said, okay, what are your numbers? How do you rank in relation to everybody else? What ammunition can we use to send to the marketplace? And so I'm now really excited to see what kind of response we're going to get from having a professional put together the copy.
Yeah.
And so.
Yeah, no, I mean, it's such a huge, I mean, I run into that all the time with regards to doing, the real question is you got to ask yourself, it's just the return on your investment of your time.
Sure.
Because if you can go out there and close another deal, can you just hire, pay minimum wage or pay whatever is the prevailing wage for these other activities? Something that you said though, the SEO piece. Again, there are all these like shiny bells out there, and not saying that they can't result in transactions, but if you just do the simple things, if you do the simple things, you earn the right to do the more complicated things, to experiment. I think Keller-Williams model is something like, first you do this, then you get an assistant, then
That's
you do.
right.
It's very much like benchmarks, and I think it's interesting because everybody wants to do everything, but if you just did what you did, you'd have the money, like the calling of your sphere of influence. You'd have the money to then experiment with SEO, experiment with all these other things.
Well, I spent the first 2 years of my investment career making it up.
Right.
Like